hashtag in the imaginary horribles. There we go. Let's get that trending on all the socials, in the imaginary horribles. So first one up, we're going to talk about RH is timing the market. Everyone's like, oh, Richard's timing the market. And they're so mad about it. They're either like really mad about it, or they're just silently like happy or silently neutral. I don't know what it is, but I really like to go back to what Warren Buffett talks about. I think it was him, you could quote saying, talking about the what you should think about. So you should think about things that are both knowable and important. And this is really helped me fight through a lot of the different controversy or whatever it is, politics or just things that come up. So is it knowable and is it important? Because if it's knowable and it's not important, then the advice is you shouldn't think about it. If it's not knowable but it's important, well, you can't, if you can't know about it, if you can't really, get any data or figure it out, then why are you thinking about it? Because you're not acting off of any kind of foundation. So is it knowable? Is it important? So for example, RH time in the market. It's not knowable. We don't know. Only he knows, right? Maybe a handful of his generals or devs or whatever too actually know what he's doing, or if he's doing anything at all. So it's not knowable. And I would argue that's not important, because it's how would you benefit from knowing it? If you knew he was timing the market, what would that enable you to do? I guess one thing you could say is it would enable you to make trades of some sort, make financial decisions. But then you got to say, okay, how do you know when the bottom of the crypto market is? Very hard to know, right? Otherwise, the 99% would be the 1%. Everyone would be rich if that was like an easy thing to know. So even if you thought it was important, it's not knowable. And even if you thought it was important, it depends on something else that isn't knowable. So therefore, I think it ticks both boxes or doesn't tick either box of being knowable or important. And that's why I think that part is just, think of FUD, fear, uncertainty, denial, I guess, something like that. So FUD doesn't mean it's not necessarily true. It doesn't mean it's lies or anything like that, although it's kind of can be grouped into that in certain situations. But it means it's meant to create uncertainty, right? It's meant to create doubt. Yeah, there we go. And fear. So RH time in the market, if that's the FUD that you heard or confused about, then I would say it's not knowable and it's not important. So I wouldn't pay attention to it. The next one, and again, if you have something you want me to talk about, throw them in the chat, whatever it is. Yeah. Thanks for that. I couldn't think of the top of my head. Denial sounded good at the moment, but yes, doubt. There you go. Thanks for that. Tento, 10 keto, 777. So next one, Richard isn't going to launch PulseChain. This is the one that just drives me bananas. Like as soon as I hear it, I just think, what are you talking about? He's not going to launch PulseChain. It's literally, it must be the people who just the fly by night crypto people who just come to PulseChain because they hear mad gains, or they see Richard Hart and they think, oh, this guy's clearly just here to get me rich, and I'm only going to be here for a few months. I'm going to sell it all, and I'm going to buy a Lambo, and then become broke again and repeat the cycle. Because he's not going to launch it, and I'm like, why? So first of all, why isn't he going to launch it? I'll get into the other stuff in a second, but maybe he missed the timing the bottom. He missed timing the bottom, or he missed whatever time he missed the. We didn't beat ETH 2.0 to market. Bad devs, SEC, like all this stuff. That's why he's not going to launch it. If you know his mission, which is glory, if you watch more than 3 of my streams before, I have an entire blog post about it. I feel free to all drop in the chat if you're interested. Or just Google search for RHMax glory blog and you'll find it. Not launching PulseChain goes completely against that mission for glory, because at least my interpretation, and I talked about this a stream or two ago, I think he's doing it in phases. I think phase 1, he's creating the community, creating a great product, HEX, really getting people, you go do the work, put your, people have skin in the game. They want the product to succeed. if you stake for 15 years, you're going to say nice things about the product for all this time. Great incentive system, great reward, punishment type of thing. It's fantastic. And it's healthy, right? It's healthy too. Because a lot of people made a lot of money on this product so far. So track record, all that stuff, establishing that phase one. And then I'm just briefly going through the phases real quick so you can understand. Phase two, vertical integration, more of an elevation of not only track record with one product, we have another product coming. The lack of promises and lack of expectations far exceeded. PulseChain being successful, the launch, giving us a product that works, yield farming, riches for everyone, trickle down glory, all that good stuff. Phase two. So phase 1 and 2 are crypto related. But I believe crypto is just a means to an end for this man, because what he wants is worldwide, undisputable glory. He wants to be one of the greatest men ever lived. And you don't do that just by making people rich in crypto. It's a great start, but he believes in longevity research, medical research, saving people's lives, funding programs that can help us live longer. Human consciousness is the most precious thing on earth. If you believe that, and he certainly seems to believe that from the 6 years I've been watching him talk about stuff like this, then phase 3 would be using crypto as a means to an end, the end being, creating the Heart Foundation, whatever it may be, having that fund for medical research, saving people's lives. So get you rich in crypto and then help you live, another 50, 100 years, all that good stuff. So not launching PulseChain directly, if you believe what I believe in that narrative, I think that's if I were to break it down, I think that's a good way to look at it. Then not launching PulseChain, if nothing else, not launching PulseChain is like totally against, it's bad for reputation, it's bad for investors, it goes against everything he wants to do, right? He wants to make people rich. He wants to build healthy ideals and followers who are into the stuff that he wants to do, that likes the things he likes, and can therefore advance the mission of a lot of the things that he wants to do and benefit the world and be a force for good in the world. That whole deal. So not launching PulseChain goes completely against that mission. He's a logical person. Therefore, he would not allow that to happen, and is probably working 24/7, do anything he can, which is not much other than whatever it is, whatever he is doing, managing. He's like the PM in the project. He's managing the project, but he's not developing the code, so he can't push these things forward because he's not the one fixing bugs. He's not the one, maybe he's funding things, maybe he's managing aspects of the launch, maybe he's doing logistics, but he is certainly not writing code. So he's doing everything he can to make sure it can be launched flawlessly, which takes time. And like I said, there has been some interesting stuff coming up. I'll just switch over to KDP, Power City. I think she's part of Power City. She has a few interesting tweets in the last few days. So, and I talked about it at the local meetups as well. I heard people talk about it. Had some conversations around. I think she is communication with some of the devs, PulseChain. That's what speculation says. And certainly the screenshot shows that V3 is going well. And then there's speculation again that PulseChain is close. Richard said it was close. He's terrible at estimates, as he says himself, but there's other people who are in communication apparently or seemingly with devs, and they have information they're sharing on Twitter. This one says, I asked the dev personally if I was allowed to tweet the response given the multiple chat room. And Shanghai will not delay PulseChain. So I think Shanghai is where later this year, maybe in the fall, the Ethereum folks are planning to, well, I think it's debatable and we don't know what's going to happen exactly yet, but there's a big thing around a bunch of the staked ETH becoming unstaked. So what I interpret this as, Shanghai will not delay PulseChain. We won't have unstaking until the upgrade. Apparently the staked ETH that we're getting when it's forked over, depending on the multiples that's coming to PulseChain, won't be unstaked. And I guess we'll be taking the Shanghai upgrade. I guess that's what that means. Hard to say for sure. Again, this is just kind of like secondhand information, it seems like. But it's, what was this? PulseX site had some minor changes. The explanation of the 20 to 30 day V3 prediction She talks about the 4 consensus clients, which I tweeted about as well. I did a whole video on the dev process. If you're interested in that, type RHMax, Richard Hart AMA number 3, and we'll talk about in that stream. I talk about it, as well as a separate clip that talks about PulseChain dev updates with all the consensus clients and execution clients information. Photo of the new Beacon Explorer. And I also talk about that, which is forked from blockchain and then .in instead of blockchain, the word. The domain is .in. If that makes sense. Let's see if I can just blockchain. Is that it? Oh, that must be some. Let's see. Beacon Chain Explorer. Beacon Chain, that's it. So this is what appears to be the Beacon Chain block explorer for that is shown in the screenshot here. Very similar, right? I mean, they're basically identical as far as the features go, except the PulseChain interface is over top of it. So if you can see that, it's got all the same stuff, epoch slots. It's got, you can search here. It's got, you know, all these buttons. It's got all the stats. Most recent blocks, yeah, as you can see, pretty much identical. So it certainly seems like that is what that's being forked from. That's what I talked about in the previous video as well. Final stage is tweaking Explorer to display new inflation amounts. Okay, maybe that's information she's got from devs or otherwise. And this photo shows ETH amount, suggesting this is the stage they're in. So PulseX lead has been taken down. New sack balances. So PulseX lead was where you could track the sacrifice totals. And there's also a Pulse lead, I believe, as well, that did the same thing. So maybe, well, I think that's a community project. So it sounds like that being taken down, well, it could suggest it's either just been taken down, or it could also be that they're preparing to update because they have some information or found out some things that they want to update the totals on. So a few things just to talk about there, just to show that PulseChain is going to launch. And I don't make a lot of predictions. I don't talk about my bags. You know, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I'm very conservative when I talk about a lot of this stuff, and I don't give financial advice, and I don't want to be wrong. So when I say something, I don't, you know, I try to do my best to give you good information. So I know it sounds obvious, but PulseChain is going to launch. That's one thing that I'm fairly sure about. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Wish we could hang out more last night. But next meetup or next stream, actually, we'll be having a community stream, hopefully in a couple weeks. And you get to see some local HEX skins from that. What's up, Spike? Good to see you as well. Thanks for joining. Again, everyone who just came, just if you have any FUD or you're uncertain about stuff or whatever it is, don't be afraid. Put it in the chat if it's related to Richard, HEX, PulseChain. I got about 5 things I'm going to go over. I'm on number 3 now, so won't be a super long stream. So we'll go into the next topic. Yeah, man, community streams could be great. Next topic will be PulseChain lost its 10,000x meme after the ETH 2.0 surprise, and it actually launched. How? That's my response to that. How did it lose the 10,000x meme after that? I would literally like to hear the points, the counterpoints to it, so I could go through each one, see if it makes sense. I just haven't heard any, you know, and like I guess I'm being generous to think some of these topics actually have something backing them. I'm being generous, I guess, with that. Other than it just being, you know, anxiety, sacrifice too much, it's been too long, I need the money back, refund. So I'm trying to be generous and trying to really, you know, I'm not really steel manning the other side, but I'm trying to give it some kind of, you know, like get me to see how I can evaluate it, try to reason around it. So I think if you underestimate the crypto market and the stuff people buy and why they buy it, then you may come to the conclusion that PulseChain lost steam after ETH 2.0 launched, and we're supposed to be the market. It wasn't it wasn't like the entire reason for PulseChain was to beat ETH 2.0 to market. That was just another bragging right among the other bragging rights that we have and will have. But people buy it because they think the price will go up. Think about any asset you've ever bought in your entire life, other than using it for something. You hoped, or at least part of the reason you bought it is because you thought the price would go up. So when people see something was designed for the price to go up, why wouldn't they buy it? Like every other L1 chain that was successful, PulseChain was actually built from the ground up with the purpose of being cheaper, faster, lowest denominator, all that stuff. It ticked all those boxes, plus all those things better than ETH, plus the fundamentals. It was designed that way. The stuff that wasn't designed that way, that doesn't have communities that understand, I guess I would be a little bit different here because I'm RHMaximalist for his ideals. And of course, I love his products. Of course, I think they solve a problem for me in my life, and they promote healthy ideals and that whole list of things. But they don't. The other communities aren't in here talking about what everyone, 99% of people, sole focus is when they buy crypto, which is price go up. So the other ones, they still went up. There's a whole list. If I had the list in front of me, I would show it to you. If anyone has that, by the way, drop me a link if you have the screenshot or website or tweet about all the other X's that all the other L1s did that were forks of Ethereum or similar. They all went up 500 to 1,000x without being designed to, with all the fundamentals we have. So use your imagination. Like why? What was it? I guess the most generous way of saying it is, was it a gut punch that ETH 2.0 actually launched when they've been working on this stuff forever? And then they're like, oh, actually, was it kind of like, oh, well, we don't have that now? Sure, at the moment. But even that, I think, was short-sighted because we weren't relying on that for anything. It was just it was an ad. It was an advertisement. That could have been an advertisement. One of the 10 different ones we could use for PulseChain, but we have plenty of stuff. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see, just looking at the chat real quick. Okay, I see there's one question I will get to in a minute. Interesting. Let me get through a couple other ones. I'll go to that one. So number 4, RH's outrage marketing is scaring away investors and hurting the brand. All the social media metrics are up and to the right. HEX holders and the HEX stakers are up and to the right. The only thing that's not up and to the right is the price right now, which everything else is down too. So whether you agree it's your style, whether you like it or it disgusts you or you think it's funny, whatever it is, did he not just double his followers in the last year or so? It's working, clearly working. And I think investors care about making money. Isn't that like the definition of an investor is someone who wants to profit on an investment? Like someone whose goal is to make profit. That's how I would define investor, generally speaking. So the ones that have bought, that will buy HEX PulseChain, they won't buy it because they have a founder who's never did anything outrageous. They're going to buy it because they're clearly superior in all the verticals that people actually care about, namely products without a price ceiling, you could say. Is there a price ceiling on HEX and PulseChain and stuff? I don't think it was designed with a price ceiling. I'll say that. So, if Richard's behavior, if you don't like it, just ignore him. HEX works just fine without it. All the products in the ecosystem work fine without you, looking at his Twitter. But I do believe if you want to understand and better his mission, you can go into that research. I did it. You can see what I think about it. But the reason why he dresses like a clown, it's like his thing he says all the time too. If you can't look past that to the next level and think, hey, is all the other metrics up? Is it working? Is he growing his brain? Is it part of the mission? Are all these things developing him into this mission of glory? I think you're just either uninformed, you're not doing enough research, you're underestimating him, you're not looking past the real mission. And that's okay if you don't want to dig any deeper and you want to believe what you want to believe, but it's clearly working for his particular mission. His mission isn't to be a nice, humble guy that makes everyone rich. He said it before, if he could do that, he would. But people like Outrage, he's playing to the strengths of what he can do, and he'll do anything to for the glory. And hey, trickle down glory, I'll take it. And number 5, and then I'll come to the chat. I've got a few comments too. HEX is old, and there are other coins that will go up more X's. Generally speaking, that sounds like either gambling or shiny object syndrome to me. It just does. Now, of course, like, are there other amazing products, even within the ecosystem, that have 10,000x potential or 1,000x or whatever you want? You can go with the meme. You can go with the super low price that goes up. Of course, and I talk about them time to time. For example, I love Hedron, and I love its sub ecosystem. What's NFTs? I mean, you got Icosa's amazing staking yield. I talk about these things, and there's other projects too that we'll talk about quite as much. But it's just I think it's just missing the point, though. It's not that you shouldn't own any other coins or that the other coins. It's just that you shouldn't be using. Again, I don't tell anyone what to do. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to use HEX as a crutch or of this. I don't want to buy it because it can only go up 50x or something. There's so many other reasons to buy it. For example, getting PHEX, getting your copy. What if the OA ensures parity? What if depending on your time horizon, what if it goes up faster before PulseChain launches or during PulseChain launch or around that time, and everything else is going up 10x and you missed out on your 50x because you thought everything else was going to go up later. And again, that's kind of looking short-sighted too, but you can still think about it time horizon wise as well. I just think that it's not even like a HEX Maxi thing. It's clearly I'm not a HEX Maxi, but when I just hear that there's so many other coins that are better, it just feels like gambling. It feels like HEX doesn't have many more X's in it. Is like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just seems like textbook shiny object syndrome and financial disaster of a distraction for when you find this ecosystem, you can't take it for granted. If you really want to succeed, you found the best ecosystem. If you're in the best ecosystem. And I just, it's hard to take that for granted. So HEX is proven. RH is building a vertically integrated, aligned ecosystem where HEX is the blue chip of blue chips. It starts and ends with HEX, for better, for worse. I like those odds. Bitcoin is old, went up 60,000x or whatever. Ethereum keeps adding these baby pump minerals with whatever, staking or burning and things of that nature. But HEX is good. If I were a betting man, I bet on a good product from genius billionaire founder. So those are the 5 I wanted to talk about, and I will come to the chat in just a second. Again, I'm going to be on here for probably 20 more minutes or so. So share the link if you like on Twitter, on Telegram, wherever, and I'll answer the questions as they come. And one sec. Notes makes my life easier later on. So let's go to the chat. I'll come to the other comments in a sec, but I do want to get to anyone who posted about while we're on the topic of the FUD and stuff. Why did he use the BitConnect X logo for PulseX? I don't know, man. Did he? Let me just type in BitConnect X. I mean, is that what you're talking about? And then PulseX. I'm not sure. They look pretty different. I don't think he used I wouldn't say use the logo. I'll say that. They're an X. There's a lot of different ways you can do an X. So I think yours looks better, of course, too. So I don't know. That one can't say that he did on that one. Yeah, I don't know what spell on my comment on that. Let's see what it's called. People like it in quantity. Yeah, so that was, I guess that was on the outrage marketing one. Okay, about the quality of people are getting, not the quantity. You know, it's a trade-off. So that's a point. That's clearly a point worth discussion. I thought about that before too, where we're attracting a lot of people that, yeah, like I said before, probably a lot of the people who believe this FUD or get into it or even proliferate it are people who came for the outrage marketing, and maybe they're not the highest character people too. For better or for worse, I think it's a trade-off. I think I don't want to assume what he knows and all and that, but I think that he consciously made the decision that more people is better for the mission. More people is better to grow the product. And he made that trade-off. So if he would, if he didn't do outrage marketing and, just did like this grassroots movement, and I just think it would just not be as effective for growing the brand and adding the numbers that he wants to add because of what he wants to do. So I do agree that outrage marketing can bring in people of less character and, maybe create more toxicity in the community and things of that sort. But I think it also brings in a lot of people that may have good character, and a lot of developers who see that there is a new chain coming. They want to develop on it because they know about it now. If you don't know about it, you can't do anything with it. So that's a fair point. I just think that it's a trade-off. And nothing for the price. Well, I think the jury's still out on that. I think once PulseChain launches, would it be better for many more people to know about it? So they speculate on it, they make the wrong decisions. The 99% of people that trade give their money to the 1% of people who have better strategies than that. I think the jury's still out, and maybe it's good for price and more people. Even people. It's like you own a grocery store. Do you want only really nice people to buy your stuff? It's probably not what you filter them on.